of us ended up taking that bus ride to Industrial Area Prison. And that was my first day in prison in Kenya and my first time in prison in my whole life, man.
Sunday or Monday?
This was Monday morning. So I got to give a quick shout out to Simon, Mjinga, and the other two brothers I was in that cell with, because I actually snuck my camera in there and was able to record them, man. I had a dope little video. I'm mad I lost it. That was in the camera that I lost later on, so I can't show y'all that, but I definitely recorded a little moment. So as far as the first night, I just got to give a quick shout out too to the brothers that helped me the most. It was a lot of cool, helpful brothers in the prison, but super special shout out to Labar and Jamal, man. Like, they helped me damn near from day one. Labar was a little older than me. Jamal was a little younger than me. And the first day when I went into prison in the dorm, Jamal, like, you know, we got kind of cool, young Muslim brother, real cool guy. And Jamal ended up telling me, like, yeah, man, look, if you want to put your property somewhere where they're not going to steal it, you can put it in my room. He's like, matter of fact, you could sleep in my room tonight. So I'm thinking on the floor, and he let me sleep on this mattress. So we slept head to toe on this mattress that night, my first night in there. So he was super cool from day one, man. He looked out. He was just introducing me to a couple people, but he was just explaining, like, what I needed to know, how things work, all of that. And like I say, he offered a little spot in his room to stash my stuff because it was a lot of Wheezies, there was a lot of thieves in there, and you know, ain't nobody keeping track. Like, they don't have no respect for your stuff. But there would be one room, because in each dorm in the prison, it would be like 4 rooms and then a bathroom on the left. And usually in the 4 rooms, the one all the way at the end would be like the VIP. You had to pay to sleep in that room, and that usually meant either there's no bed bugs in there. One room I saw you had to pay for, they had bunk beds, and I only saw that in one room, so they was kind of plugged. But you could actually sleep off the floor in one, and then they was guaranteeing, like, if you pay to sleep in here, nobody will touch your stuff, nothing will get stolen. So they offered a couple times. I kept saying, like, nah, I'm cool, like, I'll just take the little free spot. But because of that, since I didn't pay, I had my first experience with bed bugs fucking me up every night, eating me alive. You know, it'd be bed bugs crawling on us because the mattresses, the cushions was infested with them. It'd be umbu flying over us, biting us. So umbu flying, biting us, kunguni crawling on us, biting us, and that's just all night. So the difference in the sleep, at least in the prison, it was super quiet. Once you hit like 11 p.m., give or take, you could hear a pin drop. Like, there was no noise, no hollering, no banging like in the jail. But the trade-off was I had to get eaten up by bed bugs and mosquitoes every night there. So that honestly was my most miserable part of the whole experience. I couldn't sleep. Not to mention, it's my first time ever dealing with bed bugs in my life. I'm from Inglewood. I'm used to rats and roaches and all of that, ants and stuff. I ain't never dealt with no bed bugs. So that shit was miserable, man. Y'all are seeing the videos. My forehead was covered in bumps when I got out. My arms, all of this. My hands, you can't really see it. Y'all ain't gonna be able to see it, but I can see it. Where I got a couple bite marks still from where they was just tearing me up all night. So that shit
And
was trash.
did you shower?
In the jail, no. I stayed in the jail all them 3 nights, never washed. I didn't even get to wash my hands. There was no sink. So I definitely didn't shower.
And in prison?
Then when I got to prison, like I say, it's a bathroom on the left, which is 2 little holes for the toilet. And then in the main room I stayed in, it was a faucet maybe 2 to 3 feet off the ground. And that was our water for everything. If you want to drink, you want to wash your hands, you want to take a shower, that's your water. Still couldn't take a real shower because the faucet was so low to the ground, you had to take what we call like a bird bath or a hoe bath. We would have to fill up this little jug that had a couple holes in it. Fill the jug up, hold it above your head, and then the water drips from the holes in the bottom. And that's your shower, basically. So you wash with one hand, rinse off, you know what I'm saying? And you hold the jug with the other hand. My first day in prison, I think I just took the regular little hoe bath. Like the first few days I did that because I was in the dorm where that's all we had. Because again, in my first night in the dorm with the young guy, Jamar, they had a TV a flat screen in the corner. They had like an actual shower. The faucet was high on the wall, so you could get under the water and take a real shower. But I only stayed in there my first night when I met him. I went to court again the next morning. I was in court all day that day. And when I finally came back from court, it was the end of the day. They didn't let me go back to that same dorm where Jamal was. They was like, everybody go in this first room right here. As soon as we was in the B block, for people who know about industrial area prison. That's the quarantine block. So they're like, nah, you go in this first room. And in the first room, that's why I stayed every other night I was in prison. We didn't have a TV at all in there. We didn't have a faucet high up to take a shower. We had the low faucet, so we had to take bird baths. And it was infested with bed bugs in there. So I just took whole baths. Matter of fact, the day you came to visit me is when I took my first shower. I went back to Jamal's room and took a shower in there one day. Every other day I had to just wash up with the little faucet. My second day in court, the judge called me up pretty quick and he like, okay, he looked at my papers. He was like, oh, your statement is very long. He was like, it's gonna take a long time to read this, so wait till the end. He was like, I'll call you last. So I'm like, okay. Now I go back, sit down. I sat there and waited for 6 hours, man. Mostly because they don't have a stenographer in court in Kenya. So instead of the stenographer typing out what everybody is saying, the judge is writing word for word everything that's going on. So as you explain it, like, yeah, I'm just walking home and then 2 cops start, wait. You explain it like, so then I went down the street and he, right? So it's like, it's taking way longer than it had to. And he said, yo, pole. So he could finish writing it. So what should have took maybe 2-3 hours took like 6 hours. Mind you, I have not slept yet. I've been locked up maybe 4 or 5 days. I haven't really went to sleep. So I'm trying not to fall asleep in front of the judge because I know that's going to look disrespectful. And then after 6 hours, he called me back up at the end of the day. He read my statement again and was like, your statement is very long. It's going to take a long time to read. Come back tomorrow. Now I'm like, this motherfucker, man. Every day you tell me come back tomorrow, I gotta go back to prison. You get to go home and sleep in your comfortable bed. Like, it's nothing to you. I gotta go back with these bed bugs. That really kind of irked me. But I'm like, ain't nothing I could do. So I went back. They was super religious in there. The first night, when I slept in Jamal in them room, they had like a Muslim service at the end of the night. I joined the Muslim service. Every night, the Muslims would pray and the Christians would have like a little church service. So I joined the Muslims the first night. That was pretty cool. The second night, after I got back from court again, it was the Christians this time in my new room. So I ended up having service with the Christians, man. Like, they sung 2 or 3 songs. 2 guys preached. So I'm like, all right, I participated. It was a decent little experience. That was also the day I learned about paraffin. My man Labar in there was like, hey, bro, you notice you're not really, not aroused, like you're not thinking about nothing. And I'm like, well, now that you say that, yeah, I wasn't thinking about it because I'm around nothing but niggas. Like, it's nothing but men here. So why would I be horny? He's like, yeah, but you notice you haven't been. I'm like, yeah, you're right. What is that? He was like, they put paraffin in the food. That's a chemical they add to food in like boarding schools and stuff to make sure that you don't, basically, you're not horny. Like, it kills your libido. I never even heard of this before. Apparently, this is kind of a common thing in Kenya, boarding schools and prisons and stuff.
Yeah.
If they do it in America, I don't know. But I never heard. They definitely don't do it in the schools here. But so that's why I was not aroused ever the whole time I was in there. And then I didn't go to the bathroom. It took 10 days. It wasn't until the day before I got out of prison when I finally used the bathroom. I was a little worried because I'm like, all right, I wasn't eating at first. When you fast, you don't really go to the bathroom. But once I started eating the food, I'm like, I've been eating 5, 6, 7 days and still ain't went to the bathroom yet. He was like, that's normal, bro. It's the same for me. He mentioned another guy. Same happened to him. We didn't go for like 10 days. He was like, your body has to get used to the food here, which he could be right. But when I did my homework on paraffin after I got out, I found out a side effect of paraffin is intestinal obstruction. So it makes you constipated, which I'm not complaining. I ain't really want to use the bathrooms in there, to be honest. If I'm not using the bathroom for 10 days, that's not natural, man, especially if you're eating every day. So now it's day 3 in there. Every day for court, you line up first thing in the morning. So I lined up for Milimani. They called everybody's name. I ain't hear my name today, but I'm like, okay, maybe they made a mistake. So I still walk with the group, went to the front of the prison, and before you leave, that's when they check again, like, okay, everybody name that's on the list that's going to court. They ain't call my name again. So I'm like, wait a minute, man. I'm like, y'all ain't say me. You don't have court today. I'm like, well, the magistrate told me yesterday I got court tomorrow again. That's the day. He checked the list. Anthony, like, you see your court date? He let me read it. It was for the next day. So the judge told me tomorrow, but really it was 2 more days I had to wait. So now this is the only time I really was pissed off for real, like my whole time being locked up. Cause now I'm like, man, this dude is playing with my life. Like, he steady continuing the cases, steady telling me come back tomorrow, and now tomorrow ain't even tomorrow like I thought. I gotta wait 2 more nights in here. Now I'm starting to realize, like, I'm gonna be here longer than I thought. I had an attitude, so I went back into prison and I quickly snapped out of that because I realized me being upset, having an attitude is not gonna help anything. It's not gonna help me because I need to keep my mental stability to deal with everything in here. It's not good because I'm walking around inmates who never getting out of here. Some of these dudes in here for life, some of them in here 20, 30 years. So for them to be able to kind of like make the best of it, still crack jokes and play games and have conversation, and then I'm coming as a visitor, not knowing when I'm leaving, but knowing I'm getting out sooner than later, it's like, how dare you be mad and we never going home? You know what I'm saying? So I snapped out of it for that. Just in general, I'm like, it's not gonna do me any good to have an attitude. And I peeped all the guys around me that would normally come up to me, talk to me, kick it for a minute. They'll speak, and as soon as they peep my energy, that I wasn't in the mood, they left me alone. They'll stay for like 15 seconds and be like, oh yeah, okay, you mad today. So I'm like, I gotta snap out of this. Since I realized I wasn't going to court that day, I'm like, well, what can I do productive? That was the first day I went and used my phone. So I had to bribe the guards and pay them some shillings because you're not supposed to use your phone once you get in there. But if you pay a little money, they'll let you go to the property room and use your phone. So I paid a little something and went in there, and I text my family in the group chat, and then I hit Pauline. I think that's when you told me that they sent you off at the jail and told you like I was free. They let me go or something.
Yeah, at the Central Police, that's what they told me. Till
So you
later,
went
when
back to the jail looking for me when I was in prison already.
yeah, and they told me they've released you. They actually told me your boyfriend, your boyfriend has left. Maybe he has dumped you.
They trifling, man.
Yeah,
Knowing that I'm in prison, like I'm not free on the streets.
that's when I knew that something is wrong. Like,
Yeah,
at least I'm sure you could have called me on WhatsApp or Instagram, but you didn't.
right.
That's when after I talked to your dad, and after 1 hour is when I walked in. I was like, then maybe the guy has been kidnapped. We need to go to the embassy. And that's when the head of police called me and told me you are at industrial remand prison.
So basically, she came looking for me. They lied to her, told her that I was set free. Then they
Mm.
started fucking with her, cracking jokes like, oh, your boyfriend dumped you. He didn't let you know. She said she was a little upset at first, but she snapped out of that like, nah, they tripping. Because I definitely would have said something to you, especially since you helped me like contact my family. I wasn't going to get out and just be like, oh, well, thanks anyway.
Then
At the very
something,
least, I would have told you that I'm free.
they said that they released you on Friday and we talked on Saturday.
Right.
So that was enough to know something is wrong.
So just
Yeah.
so y'all know, you see how they operate. They didn't give her the truth of where I was until she basically was smart enough to threaten them like, look, if he ain't here and he ain't text me, I need to file a missing persons report and I need to contact the embassy. And that's when they're like, okay, we tell you where he is. So that's a
Yeah.
shame, but thank God you was wise enough to do that.
That's when I came to prison and you called me when I was outside.
The first time you came, that's when I called you.
Mhm.
So the first day I got my phone, I text my family first in the group chat, let them know I was okay. I tried to call the embassy, which ended up not being any help whatsoever, man, for any Americans that need this insight. All of the prisoners in the prison was, oh, bro, you American. You can get out of here in 10 minutes. I've seen it happen before. You call your embassy, you going to get right out. And I'm like, bro, I don't think it's going to work like that for me, especially because I'm a black American. It's not going to be the same. They're like, nah, trust me, man. You got to try it. So I'm like, what harm is it in trying? So I called the embassy, and all they ended up doing was referring the attorney who said it'll be a $6,000 fee for him to represent me. So I hung up on him like, that's ridiculous. And then the last person I hit was Pauline. And what was crazy, as soon as she answered, she was like, I'm outside. I'm like, what? Outside where? What you talking about? I'm outside. Tell the guards to open the gate. So I'm like, you Don't you outside the prison right now? Mind you, I'm not even knowing she knows where I am because I haven't talked to her since I left the jail. And this is the one couple minutes that I got to use my phone. So the fact that she was outside the moment that I called her was really crazy. I got to see you for a minute that day.
Yeah, I had to pay.
Yeah, she had to pay extra just so we could see each other face to face. Because if you don't pay, they say the visit is behind like some thick screen. You can't even really see the person.
It's a group of prisoners shouting to
Yeah.
talk to someone. So at first I tried sending someone, call him,
Mm,
and everyone is shouting, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. It's too much. That's
that's what
when I
I
talked.
heard.
That's when I made friends with the police guy and some money. I didn't have cash, but he was okay with M-Pesa afterwards.
But yeah, I didn't even learn that till I went back, and the guys was like, "What you?" I'm like, "Yeah, she visited me when I went to use my phone." It was like, "And you saw her?" I'm like, "Yeah, we was in the room sitting next to each other." It was like, "Bro, she had to pay for that." That's when they explained to me what she just said. Of like, if you do the regular visit, you can't hardly see him because the screen's so thick, and you shouting over all the other prisoners and visitors, so you can't even really hear them. It was funny because, in the beginning, every time Pauline would come visit or help out, I'd go back to the prison and tell the guys, like, man, she just brought me some money on the canteen, or she just popped up and visited me randomly. She hired a lawyer. They all loved her. Everybody in the prison was like, oh, man, you need to marry that girl, man. Get her pregnant, bro. Put a baby in her and go back to Chicago, and just telling me crazy stuff. So I'm like, absolutely not. That's not good advice at all. But everybody in there was saying, man, she a keeper. She's solid. You need to marry her. But as soon as the judge set the bail money, they're like, whatever you do, don't trust her, bro. Kenyan women, she gonna get your bail and she gonna be gone. Everybody loved her, and then as soon as the bail came, everybody was against her. And it was so funny to me. Not to say it ain't, it's definitely women in Kenya, America, all over the world who would do that. They'll take your money and run. Thankfully, Pauline proved them wrong, man, because they did have me nervous for a minute. I had faith in her, but that one moment when you wasn't answering the phone, I did get a little scared for a second.
I was sleeping. It was after midnight.
Yeah, I mean, I understand now, but when you sitting in prison and you like, she answered every other time until she got the money. Now she disappeared. So I was like, I don't know, man. That was crazy to me. They definitely flip flop. They went from loving you and I should marry you and get you pregnant to like, don't trust her, man. She Kenyan. She gonna rob you. Thankfully, she paid a little something and we actually got to sit in the same room. But even that, when I tried to give her a hug on some like, man, thank you for coming and everything you've been through. And they was like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, the visit is over. You can't touch each other. Get out of here. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
know. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
They
summer
made
honey, I didn't know that you can't touch. This is my first prison visit in my life. I didn't know the rules. So they
me
was
too.
cool.
I didn't know there's dress code.
Oh,
Like they say
yeah.
all your stuff. They don't even like label it. You understand? Like they take your phone. Then everything is someone can steal.
Right. It's all
So
just put together.
yes, at first at the gate I was like, I don't think I want to leave my phone, my watch,
Right.
everything. And there's no sticker, there's nothing. You just come back and say this was mine.
And find what was yours. Yeah, so you got to trust that somebody don't steal what was yours before you came
Yes,
back.
the whole time I was inside, but my head, I'm like, what am I doing?
Hey, same thing I told y'all happened to me in the jail. They took my
Mm.
belt and my shoe. This is not my belt. This is some random Kenyan man's belt. Cause when I finally got out of jail and they like, okay, go get your shoe and your belt. I found my shoe. Somebody else had stole my belt because they don't keep any order or record of it. So I'm like, I need something. So I had to keep it going and steal somebody else's belt. So shout out to the Kenyan whose belt I got, man. It's mine now.
I had some ragged jeans, so I didn't know there's a dress code.
Yeah.
So they told me like the prisoners are very hungry, they can rape. I'm like, how can they rape me in
I was gonna
public?
say I don't know how they would have been able to do that, but they
I don't know,
definitely was on you. They was
but
staring at Pauline. I saw a couple of them like,
they
"Ooh,
said
who is that?"
they said I cannot expose my body, but my jeans was not that bad.
Yeah,
Just exaggerate because it was a bit ragged, or maybe it was too much. I don't know. But then some of the ladies who were dressed in a weird way, like no arms. They were kicked home, like they were told to go and come back another day.
Cause their
But
arms were showing, cause they ain't have sleeves on.
yeah,
Damn.
like
Oh
the
yeah.
police, the guard would tell them, "Where are you going? Prison. I think you don't know where you're going because of the dressing," and they'd be
Right.
told to go back. Yeah, but for me, they gave me a cover. Yeah, I was lucky, I guess, or maybe I was polite.
Maybe a little bit of both, but I remember
Yeah,
you showing it. It actually looked nice on you, the little blue and white thing.
no.
But
So
but they made her cover up like a Muslim, basically, like no skin should be showing except for your hands and your face type of thing. So
yeah, so for a minute I was 50-50. Maybe I should go back home because I just gave you my phone, my watch, everything.
all right.
Then now you're trying to cover me up.
Hey, well, I'm glad you
But then,
didn't go home, man. I
yeah, the time
appreciate you
was
going
too
through that.
long. There's no way I'm like 99% almost in. Then I bail out because of dressing. I think I
Yeah.
just had to get it done. Yeah.
Well, that was a nice surprise, man. I didn't expect you to be there. I definitely didn't expect you to be outside when I called or to visit you. And I ain't gonna lie, in hindsight, thank God that was the first day I took a real shower. Cause I'm like, I didn't even know I was gonna see you today. I washed everything that morning, ironically, like all my clothes, my drawers. I think that might have been the day I washed my shoes because they were starting to stink after like 3 days in the jail, not being able to wash myself. So I just cleaned everything that day, and that was the day she came. So I'm happy because I'm like, I know I was still a little rough, but at least I ain't want to be stinking and dirty. You know what I'm saying?
I brought clothes the day when you thought you're coming out, but you didn't come out.
You talking about like Friday?
Yeah, but the first day, remember, I was coming to confirm where you are. I
Yeah,
wasn't
you
coming
right.
to visit you, yeah, so I had nothing on me. Also, I'm glad I didn't come straight from home because I would have brought food, which is not allowed in prison.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
you can bring food in the jails for your people. You can't bring no food to the prison, man. You can only bring
yeah.
clothes or leave them money on the canteen.
Also, the soap and all that, I didn't know what's supposed to be carried. I've
Plus, I
never
didn't
been.
know what I needed either, so I'm glad you didn't do all that the first day.
Yeah.
That's when my day started to get better too, honestly, because I was pissed off since I didn't get to go to court like I thought I was supposed to. But then got to use my phone, reach out to my people. She popped up, got to see her for a minute. The rest of the day was kind of smooth. I remember I went back, and that was the night the guys asked me to preach. And you know, I ain't no preacher. I ain't never preached before a day in my life, but I went to the church service the night before, and the guy, shout out to Peter. Peter was running the church service basically. And he was like, "Yeah, we want you to speak tomorrow night, brother." No, he actually asked me that same day, like, "You should speak tonight at church." And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I ain't really, I ain't no preacher." He's like, "I'll just say something from the heart. It's no problem." So I'm like, "All right, I'll do it." So that night I read from the book of Proverbs, gave my, little opinion and testimonial on that. And I thought I was done with it. But apparently Peter was like, "Man," the next day he was like, "I want you to speak again, brother." So I'm like, "Man, I don't know." He's like, "No, if you notice, when you spoke last time, we had more brothers come out and listen to the church service than we've ever had. I think it's because they heard your accent. You sounded different. So even though they've heard these things before, I think they got interested because they heard it from you." So I'm like, "Yeah, if you want me to, I will, bro." But I didn't think it was going to become a regular thing. So, I got
You
to
know,
be a preacher for the first time in there.
the only thing that I did on the first day was leaving the canteen money. You remember?
Yeah, I think you're right because I didn't spend the canteen I kept it for like 2 days before I actually used it because they only let you use the canteen like for an hour or two every day. And if you missed that hour, then you missed it
Because I
to
remember
tomorrow.
I didn't know I need cash inside, so I left all my cash in my bag.
Yeah.
But whatever I had in my jeans, that's what I gave in the canteen. At least we had a decent meal, some
Yeah,
mangoes.
man. Pauline blessed me. She gave me 500 shillings for the canteen. So I went, bought
Yeah.
myself my own cup so I ain't have to share with nobody no more. I got a toothbrush, a bunch of stuff. I got like a bunch of fruit, maembe. I got some mandazi, some mkate, and I gave the mkate to the other brothers because I wasn't eating that. But it was a lot of the prisoners in there just eating like plain bread, like just slices of plain bread right out the pack. So
It was around 4:30 p.m. and after 5 p.m. they don't let people in. So if I went outside to get some more money, they would have locked me out. Then remember my dressing and all that. It was complicated. I wouldn't have done that twice.
It would have took too much time.
Yeah, yeah. Then I
So
wanted to come out before everyone so that I can be the first people to take their luggage.
the next morning, I went to court for the third time back to Milimani. This time, he finally set the bail. Pauline, when I saw her, she also was like, well, do you want me to come to court? And I'm like, I kind of do. But I told her, nah, don't even waste your time because we haven't known each other that long. I literally met her the first day at the top of the KICC building. We walked around, kicked it for a few hours, and that was it. I got locked up the next day. So I'm thinking, like, you're not going to be a good character witness because I technically only knew you for a day. The judge ain't going to care about that, so don't come. So I went to court. Who walks in the door? Pauline comes strolling through. So I'm like, what are you doing here? I was happy to see her, but I'm like, I definitely told you not to come. So she came right over to me and was like, yeah, I hired you an attorney. So I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, she right out here. So the lady came in right after her, introduced herself. So I'm like, oh man, look at Pauline. She going above and beyond. She done found the lawyer. She came to court. So I'm like, thank you so much. But I'm like, where you found this lawyer? She said, oh, the police officer. The officer who arrested you, he recommended her. I'm like, what? Are you serious? The nigga that put me here told you to hire her. I'm like, absolutely not. So Pauline like, so should we get rid of her? I'm like, yeah, you fire this lady, man. Like the guy who is responsible for me being in here ain't trying to help me get out of here. So no, I don't trust this lawyer. So she was like, well, you know, since she here, we might as well let her do her job for now, which, as you remember, even that ended up backfiring because she called you up when you asked not to. She was professional. I wouldn't say like she was unprofessional or none of that, but I knew because of who referred her, I didn't want her. And Pauline didn't like her either because she called Pauline to speak during court.
Yeah,
And you
I did.
told her not to, right?
I told her not to mention my word, my
Yeah.
name. Then that's the first thing she did.
Soon as she spoke to the judge, she was like, oh, he has a friend here who can speak. And Pauline looking like, you dirty. I told you I don't want to speak. So she
She,
stood up anyway, but yeah, that lady, man.
but she really pissed me off. In public, I don't do that. Like, I'm standing in a room full of strangers talking.
All right. And the judge ended up saying exactly what I told her. Was like, he was like, how long have you known him? Shout out to you for that too, because you gave the right answer, even though you kind of lied. And she was like, yeah, I known him about a week. When in reality, she knew me for one day, but I had been locked up for a week. So it's like, technically, you knew me for a week. But the judge still was like, you don't really know him. Nah, you can sit down.
You know, this lawyer was trying to tell me to lie.
To say what?
She was trying to tell me to lie, like, you're a long term friend. Don't you remember? But I
Ah,
told her,
no, I don't remember you
I've
telling me
never
that.
lied. No, I just told her I've never lied. This won't be my first time lying
All right.
in a court. I think there's consequences. I don't know, but I'm not trying to lie.
Definitely, yeah.
So that's why I did
Perjury.
lie. And afterwards, it's when I remembered you had given my phone number and I had done like a phone interview and I had given the 1 week figure. So if I lied, I'd be caught immediately.
All right.
Yeah, I had given a statement already on the phone.
I'm glad you didn't listen to her. That lady was sending us off. What if that was the plan with her and the police that referred her? Like, let's
I
get his
never lie.
friend locked up too, so she can't help him anymore.
I never lie, and I told her this won't be my first time lying. I'm not lying. And immediately she got her money. I told her he doesn't need a lawyer.
All right.
He's good. We don't
Like,
need your services.
fire her immediately, man. Get her out of here, cause absolutely not.
Yeah.
Hell nah. So, like I said, he set my bail that day. Finally, on my third day in court, but he set it high as hell. Everybody I talked to was like, "Oh, for your stuff, this nothing. You should get out of here quick. And if they give you bail, it's gonna be 10 or 20,000 shillings. At the most, 20,000." This man set my bail at 100,000 shillings, man. Like 5 times what everybody else said. I'm like, damn, that's, that ain't no little money. It shouldn't cost me this much to get out, but that's what it was. So now it's like, if you can pay that, you can at least be free until we finish all these court days. So I went back to prison. This was the day I actually got sick in the prison. It was some like cold or flu or something going around where people was losing their voice and like coughing all night. And I think after my third day sleeping in there, that's when I got it. So when I woke up, I was losing my voice. After I came back from court, my older homie Labard, he was the one introduced me to a lot of people. And this day he introduced me to DJ Flexx. Shout out to DJ Flexx. Shout out to the Nigerian homie Prince. Everybody he introduced me to was solid, but DJ Flexx was cool as hell. Labar found out that I made music. So he was like, I'm gonna take you to my friend. He took me to this little back room. They had built a studio in the prison, man. It was a kind of narrow room, but wide enough. It'll be like 10 of us in there, maybe. I see DJ Flexx sitting at the head of a computer. He got like 3-4 computer monitors on the desk. It's like a real studio setup. The only thing they didn't have was the mic, because they said the guards wouldn't let them keep a mic all the time. They would let them bring it sometimes. So they would practice the songs, get them down perfect, and then once the mic was there, they would record everything they had been practicing. So he's showing me the setup. I'm impressed. Like, this is dope. They playing some of the music he did. We ended up trading like YouTube information and Instagrams and all of that. He was like, yeah, Labar told me you rap. Like, I want to hear what you got. At the time, I sounded like this. Like my voice was going since that morning. So I'm like, bro, I want to spit something for you, but you hear my voice. He like, oh, don't worry, we gonna help with that. Flexx started passing out cups of hot tea. This man had chai in the prison. That might not mean much to y'all. I had not seen tea since I got to the prison. We got it every morning in the jail. In prison, for breakfast, we would get porridge every morning. Wasn't no tea or none of that. So I'm like, where did he even get hot tea from in the first place? How he got all these cups to pass out to everybody in the room? Like, so he was obviously plugged from the studio to the tea. He was telling me they let him leave the prison and do shows outside where he gets paid sometimes. When I looked him up online, he had music videos. So I'm like, yeah, this is a different type of dude. I don't know how much money he had or what, but DJ Flexx was plugged in there. Told him, like, I'm gonna work on my voice getting better and I'm gonna spit something for you. So I borrowed a pen from him and then I went and wrote a verse. That was the day I think I played checkers with the Maasai Warriors. They'll be on the yard every morning playing checkers just with each other. So I asked them, now where's our kucheza? Like, I can play. So I got on, and I ain't gonna brag, but I was busting their ass, man. I was undefeated until the last guy. They let everybody know the food was ready. So I'm like, man, the food could wait. But then I asked, like, what we eating today? It was like, oh, it's a sukuma. And sukuma wiki, that was my favorite meal in the prison, man. Sukuma wiki is basically collard greens for the Black American. It's the same thing. So they would cook the collard greens and put it on a bowl of ugali. And so I loved it. That was the closest thing to some dawa, some medicine in there. And I was sick, so I'm like, I ain't gonna skip that. I need some of that. I met the Maasai that day, and then the rest of the time in prison, every time they saw me, oh, what's up, man? Tomato, Kesho, we played checkers again. I wrote my verse, went back to the studio. There was a bunch of guys in there doing the song, CZ Come. It was a prison guard in there performing. He was on the hook. He had like the second verse on the song, so that was kind of crazy to me. They had 2 verses, so they spit theirs, and I'm like, hey, man, I wrote a little verse if you want. She was like, yeah, you go next. I came in right at the end of the guard. I had just written it that morning, so I didn't have it memorized. So I maybe got like halfway through it. I got to half and messed up, but as soon as I messed up and stopped, everybody was like, oh, shit, oh, Tena. So I'm like, oh, you want to hear it again? They're like, yeah, Tena, CZ come. So people was coming from outside the room, like, oh, that shit was dope, run it back. So we went through it again. Started from the beginning, went through the whole, and every time I did it, I got a little further in my verse because I was still learning it. But they liked it, man. They really rock with it. So they basically was like, all right, we're going to put you on the song. Come back tomorrow morning, we're going to practice it again. So I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm thinking we just going to do like I told you before. We going to learn it. We going to practice it until we memorize it. And then when the mic comes, we can record it, lay it down. When I come back the next morning, that's when I realized they not trying to record it. They had a table in another room, in a bigger room, and it was like 3 or 4 guys sitting behind the table like American Idol judges, and everybody was performing their songs one at a time for the judges. So I'm like, what is going on right now? And they told me, no, we finna have a concert on Wednesday. We have a show every year. They let people from outside come into prison, watch the show. He was like, this the only time they let us record. You could videotape it. So DJ Flexx was like, I could probably get your camera from the property room and you could record the show. You could interview some of the prisoners. I'm like, oh, that'd be dope. So we was literally practicing for the concert. They put me in a concert that was going to happen in the prison that Wednesday. It was a bunch of different artists, different songs. It was a few guys in there that could sing. And one of them, he was real talented, man. He could blow, this bald head dude. And I remember after he heard my verse, he was like, me and you, we should make something together. I'm like, that'll be dope, because to me, he was the most talented brother in there. He could sing and he could rap. So that was a nice little day, man. Nice little break from the prison stuff. They still made us do the count in the middle of rehearsal. You know, they'd be like, oh, he Sabu, he Sabu. And everybody gotta crouch down. We gotta kneel down close to the ground while they do the count or whatever. So we did that in the yard, went back to practice. So it was just a decent little day. DJ Flexx ended up giving me a shirt. Shout out to him and his, I guess it's his record label. It's called NRA Music. He gave me one of his shirts. I'm like, I'm gonna wear it in my next video, bro. I'm gonna plug, I'm gonna advertise your shit. But that was some of the clothes I ended up leaving in the prison. So unfortunately, I ain't get to bring the shirt with me, man. The next day after that, that was the day I actually used that canteen money that Pauline blessed me with. The canteen was in K block. Like I said, I was in B block, where you go when you first get into prison. It's the quarantine block. All I heard the whole time was like, you don't want to go to J block, K block, or L block. They like, bro, it's wild in there. You niggas is crazy. Ooh, I just kept hearing horror stories. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go there. Niggas was like, hey, you got to get out of here soon, bro, because eventually you gonna have to go there. You can't stay in the quarantine B block forever. If you pay the guards, you might be able to stay here, but if you don't pay, eventually they taking you, they would say upstairs. They're like, you're gonna have to go upstairs to one of them like wild blocks. But the canteen is in the very entrance to K block. So I did get a little peek at it outside of what it's like over there. Went to the canteen, bought all the stuff I told y'all about, and saw like, yeah, it is a little wilder over here. I did get a little chance to visit K block. Shout out to DJ Flexx, he took me over there. So, you know, I had heard all them nightmare stories about like how dangerous it was, and it's crazy, it's wild, you don't want to go over there. And he ended up taking me over there. So when I went in, it definitely was wild. You get in first the yard, you know, and they got them behind the cage. So it's a bunch of niggas coming up to the cage, talking to me, hey, what's up, bro? Da, da, da. And my whole time there, I would only speak Swahili. Like, they would speak English to me. I would respond in Swahili every time. They would be like, hey, how you doing, bro? Da, da. Nico Salama, Nawewe, you know what I'm saying? We walked down to the last door, made a right into the gate. Now we in their yard, and then we walked into the building, and as soon as you get in the building, it's pretty dark. It was a couple guys walking around, lingering, coming and going. And like once you enter the first little entrance, that's when you in the actual jail with all of their cells where they living. And as soon as you walk in there, it's just wall to wall guys everywhere, man. Like, it was super overcrowded. I thought it was a lot of us sleeping in the block I was in, but it wasn't nothing compared to K block. It made me understand why so many of them would be outside, because it's like, if we all on the inside during the day, it ain't gonna be no room for anybody. It's too crowded. So we literally pushing through guys, like making a hole through the crowd to get through. We walked all the way back to the back. And again, mind you, it's dark. So it's crowded. You pushing through a bunch of people. I guess the inmates did it, where they broke all of the light bulbs. So it ain't pitch black, but it's dark enough in there where you can't really see too well. And I remember when I came back, a lot of guys was asking me like, man, how was it over there? I ain't never even been to K block, man. Was it crazy? And I'm like, yeah, it was different. It's wild over there. But they like, so was anybody messing with you? Was they bothering you? I'm like, not really. Part of that is probably because I was with Flexx. The other part of that is because we was moving through pretty quick. And then I told you it was dark. So I don't even think they saw my face for the most part. Nobody was acting like, oh, we got fresh meat in here. You know what I'm saying? They did that a little bit outside the gate when they was coming up to speak to me. I guess to test me, see if I was scared or not. But once I got in there, nobody really bothered me. So we get all the way to the back. Now they got a big TV. Everybody got chairs. They sitting watching TV in the back of the room. And we end up going to one of his homie cells, man, and kicking it. We stayed over there like 30, 45 minutes. And it was smooth. The guy's cell was pretty decent. He even had a sofa in there, which was crazy to me. Again, like, how you get a couch in your cell? I ain't never seen nothing like this. But like I say, DJ Flexx was plugged, and everybody he introduced me to was plugged too. So it was pretty cool. We chilled for a minute. And as we left, Flexx was basically like, look, man, now you've been over here. If they send you over here to live, now you got somewhere to go. You know somebody over here. So he really looked out, man. He made it more comfortable for me, because again, that was people in the jail, in the prison was acting like that's the boogeyman. Like, bro, you don't want to go to K block. Shout out to Flexx again just for taking me over there, introducing me to a bunch of brothers there, because that was the only unknown. I had got pretty comfortable in the prison. After being there for a week, I knew enough people knew how it operated. But I know at some point they taught me how to play, you know the game Ludo?
No.
You don't know Ludo? In Jamaica, y'all call it Ludi or Lodi. It's that game where you go around the board and you got to come back around to go back home. They got a version in Kenya called Ludo. And shout out to Justice. He taught me how to play the game. I ended up getting to smoke some weed in there. Now, I'm not going to give too many details because I don't want to get nobody in trouble, but basically I found somebody who was cool as hell, Muslim brother who was on Ramadan. So he let us come smoke in his room, but he was like, since it's Ramadan, I'm not smoking right now. He was like, normally I would smoke with y'all. Bro had cocaine. He pulled out some rolled up joints. He was selling food. Like, it was a lot of traffic and business going on in his room. So he was plugged too. But he like, yeah, I'm gonna just let y'all do y'all thing because I'm on Ramadan. I smoked a little weed I had, and then we smoked one of his joints, and we got high as hell in there. They have Christian church and they have a Muslim service where they pray every night in the jail, just the prisoners. But Sundays, they would have an official church service. A real pastor would come, like a real church. They would set up a bunch of chairs and have church in the morning. They did the same thing for the Muslims, I think, on Friday. So I went to church just to get out because they was locking us in the dorm. So I'm like, I'd rather be out here in the fresh air, get some sunlight, and just listen to the service. So I stayed out there. That jacket I told y'all I brought from the jail that the cop gave me with the weed and the squares in it, I ended up leaving it somewhere. I was sitting on it everywhere I went. And then I carelessly just left it somewhere when I got up. When I realized, I'm like, damn, what I do with the jacket? It was gone. Somebody had took it. 2 or 3 days later, we sitting out in the yard, me, Jamal, and my brother Dan. And Dan was like, ain't that your jacket? We see one of the guys walking past. I'm like, I don't even know, honestly. You probably know what it looked like better than me. He was like, nah, that's your jacket, bro. So I'm like, oh, well, shit, if that's you, if you saying it's mine, I'm finna go get my shit back. And as I was getting up, he like, no. Dan was like, nah, it's better if I go. So shout out to Dan for that, because I could tell that was his way of trying to like keep the peace. He went to try to smooth it over. I'm like, nah, I need to go get this myself. It's my jacket. So I went and talked to the guy, and he gave me the jacket back. He was cool about it. And I ended up trying to give him a jacket when I got released later, because I had another one, but he didn't even want that shit. So my second day using the phone was actually my last day in prison. Shout out to the Nigerian again, Prince. He told me he gonna be the president of the country one day. So if he is, shout out to the president. Prince took me, because it wasn't always easy to get to the property room. Sometimes you had to know somebody or have some connection. So he helped me get there, and I still had to pay to use it. I paid less this time because now I know better, but they want some money. And it ain't just like, oh, you pay one guard, you get to use your phone. One guard is gonna be like, all right, so what you gonna do for me? So if you tell him like, all right, I got, let's say 300 shillings for you, he like, okay. And then there's 2 other guards sitting there, so they looking like, so what about us? What you gonna do for us? Instead of 300 shillings, now you paying 900 shillings just to use your phone, because all the guards want money. Got my phone. I remember calling around, just giving people updates on where I was, and then I went back to the main prison. And once I got back, maybe 30 minutes, an hour later, I'm in there kicking it with the guys. One of the guards came up and was like, Anthony. So I went to the gate. He's like, your release papers are here. So at this point, I've been in prison 10 days. So I'm not getting excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm like, oh yeah, really? He was like, yeah, man. He's like, it's time for you to go. I'm like, are you for real? You joking? He was like, what, you want to stay here? You can stay here. I'm like, nah, man, I'm ready to go, but I didn't know I was getting released. So he's like, all right, hurry up, get your stuff. You have like 1 minute, you get everything. 1 minute is not enough, because at this point, I got a stash in Jamal's room. I got another stash in LeBar. Really, it was Peter's room, but LeBar had a bag for me to put stuff in there where they wouldn't steal nothing. Then I had my property in the room I was sleeping in. And then I had my shoes at the top of the city. I had stuff everywhere. So I'm rushing, trying to get all my stuff from all these little stashes, saying goodbye to everybody, because now everybody like, what, you going home? You finna? I'm like, I think so. I don't want to say yeah till I'm free. So they saying goodbye, asking for my number. They giving me their number. Meanwhile, the guard is rushing me like, I guess you want to stay here, man. It's time to go, Anthony. I'm rushing, and that's how I ended up leaving my pair of pants Pauline brought me, another shirt that she brought me, and then the shirt that DJ Flexx gave me, man. Unfortunately, I left all of that there. So again, I appreciate you tremendously for bringing me all that, but I ain't gonna lie, part of me was like, man, Pauline did too much, because I ain't want all these clothes. It was good I had a second pair of pants was cool, but I really didn't want it. I just wanted to keep my 1 pair and wash that. And then I needed a hoodie, which she did. Matter of fact, this is the hoodie that you brought me, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was funny too, because when I got locked up with a shirt that said King on it. She brought me a hoodie that said King, and then another shirt. So it was like everything you brought me say King. I don't want to make these guys in here think I think I'm too good. I got King on all my clothes and shit.
I had like 3 more that I took back home.
You know, I ain't want to get in the wrong idea, but so I ended up leaving all that Russian by mistake, man. So again, it's some Kenyan somewhere with my shirts, my pants on, all of that. They probably wearing my whole outfit somewhere right now.
You can come and get them.
Nah, that shit is probably gone now. So I got released, and that was still a whole process. I had to jump through a bunch of hoops. They was on some asshole shit because they made me kneel down one last time. Like my lawyer came, and as I was at the door, like my last step to get out, they like, okay, Hisabu, Kachini. So I'm like, man, I'm about to get released. Why am I kneeling down? It was almost like one last reminder of like, you know, show you who's boss type shit. So I knelt down. All he did was he was like, so what's your name? What's your birthday? Okay, stand up again. So I'm like, that was some bullshit. Just to flex your, you know, your power or whatever one last time. So they let me out. All the guards was asking for money on my way out. Like, oh, so what you gonna do for me, brother? Now I'm a little cocky. I'm like, I ain't gonna do shit for you. I ain't got no money for you, fam. Like, I did bless 3 of the guards on my way out. The one that made me laugh that day, I was pissed off when I didn't go to court. This dark-skinned, tall brother with the glass, shout out to you, because he subscribed to the channel too before I left. He was the only guy who actually kind of helped me out and didn't ask for nothing. And then there was one other guy who was like halfway decent. That was it. I threw them a few dollars and got the hell up out of there. Everybody else, I was like, man, give you money for what? I'm free now. I don't have to pay you to use my phone no more. I'm out of here.
Outside of the prison, just so you know I'm good.
I had to go back to court 3 more times. Like once I bailed out and had my freedom, I still had at least 3 more court dates. One for me to give my side of the story, another for the police to get a side where they lied, and then the last one was when he finally gave me my judgment, ruled me not guilty. But that's not guilty after 10 days locked up in their country, after getting bit by bed bugs. You know what I'm saying? All of this shit, all the time and money Pauline spent, the money I had to spend to bail out, the extra money I had to spend to extend my trip, get a new flight, more days in the hotel. It cost me a lot, man. So I'm glad at the end of the day that I got set free, because the minimum was 7 years. If I was found guilty, I would have had to do 7 years in prison in Kenya. So I'm definitely grateful for my freedom, but the system there is similar to America. Even if you are found not guilty in the end, you still was penalized because you still went to jail out of money and time and all of that. They don't reimburse you for none of that. So I was a little salty, but I'm just happy to be free. You know, my family, they wanted me to come home immediately. Soon as you get out of there, you get on the first thing smoking, you bring your ass home. So I'm like, I don't think I can do that, man. First of all, I still have court. You saying forget court. I'm gonna be a fugitive in Kenya then. I'm gonna have a warrant out for my arrest. I can't never come back to this country. My father like, forget that. Like, he didn't care. He just wanted me to come home. I'm like, no, I don't want to have a warrant here. Like I said, I came the 7th, got locked up the 8th, got out the 18th, and my flight home was the 19th. So it literally would have been like, I saved my money, did all this work just to pay to go to prison and then come right back home. I was not finna do that. And then the final reason, at one point, Pauline kind of vouched for me to get out, and they was explaining, since she vouching for you, if you don't show up to court, she going to jail. We're gonna lock her up until she can produce you, which is wild, because it's like, how's she gonna produce me in America? She in prison, I'm back in America, she ain't never been over here. So it's like, she ain't gonna be able to produce me. She's just gonna sit in jail and I'm gonna be free. So I would never do that to her. All of the stuff she did to help me, she didn't know that at the time. She told me she was kind of panicking because my father was telling her like, no, he going home. So actually I spent a weekend in prison longer than I had to, because Pauline could have got me out on Friday. She the one that bailed me out technically, but because my father was like, he coming right home, she was like, well, I'm gonna go to jail then. So she waited till Monday. So I spent the whole another weekend in there, man.
No, also about the time. By the time the money was there, it was late.
It was late,
Remember,
but be
remember,
honest, man. Tell me what you told me before
wait,
about.
you have No, you have to go to Milimani so that you can apply for the release. Then you pay the money and all that. Then come to industrial. Those are two different locations.
Yeah, I know.
And it was already noon, so you can't get it done by 5 p.m.
Basically, y'all, she might have had to rush. She might have barely made it, but she was like, forget it, because she didn't know if she was going to be free when I got out.
Yeah, that was also another reason, but the main reason was the time. You're not going to the US, then I get locked up.
What did you say my father said when you talked to him?
I'm not Jesus. Like immediately you come out, you're going. The minute you just don't come to court, I'll be told to produce you. I don't know how true it is, but that's too much. But I had just met you, so that was very overwhelming for me.
Understandably so, man. If my father telling you he coming straight home, forget the
Yeah,
money, all that, I can understand why you was a little nervous. But I was telling you when I would talk to you, like, I'm not gonna do that to you, man. I'm gonna take care of you, make sure you
but
okay.
if I received the money by 8 a.m., I think I would have done it. But maybe you would have had to come to my place
Well, it's cool, they
and
happen
stay
for
with
a
me.
reason.
And stay with me till you go to court.
And
Every morning
I'm
I
sure
would
you
say,
didn't want that because I was a stranger. You didn't want me living in your apartment. You just met me.
yeah, yeah,
So
that
it
too.
worked out. But yeah, I found that I spent the extra 3 days in there. I might not have had to do, which is crazy. But so basically that was it. I got out, went to court the last few times, got found not guilty. I wanted to go back to the prison 2 times. I got out that Monday. The concert was Wednesday. I had planned to go back, pop in, do my verse, and to record because he said we was allowed that day. But the magistrate kept continuing my shit every day. And one of the days he continued it was that Wednesday. So instead of being able to go to prison again, I had to spend all day in Milimani again. Then my brother Peter sent me a video call on WhatsApp, like, oh, I'm out, bro. Ooh. He's like, I got out the same day as you. So I'm like, oh, that's dope. I'm asking about LeBar and all, and he's like, nah, LeBar's still in there. So when Peter called me and told me he was out, we agreed Friday, let's go back up there together and see all the brothers. I wanted to put some money on their canteen, especially the ones who helped me, man. Specifically Jamar and LeBar. But if I had any more to spread around, I would have blessed Dan, DJ Flexx, all of them. I went to Mombasa to check out Diani, and I messed up because I didn't buy my return ticket as soon as I got there. So when I finally went to pay for it, they was like, oh, we sold out. You can't come back. Stuck in Mombasa. I didn't get a chance to go visit the guys again. Honestly, I'm a little salty about that. I really want to see a few of them. I still plan on seeing them when they get their freedom, when I come back to Kenya, but I wanted to come show some love while they was in that situation. It is what it is, but much love to all the brothers in there who is showing love. It was crazy because my first experience eating sukuma wiki, githeri, maharage, mandazi, all of that was in the prison. The only thing I got to try as a free man before I went was ugali my first night. But after my first night, I ate ugali every single day in prison. With every meal, a bowl of ugali and either the beans and corns, or the greens. And then for breakfast, we would get porridge, and that's basically just ugali too with water. So I got ugali'd out. Nothing against it, but to me, it's prison food now. I don't have a taste for it because it just reminds me of being locked up. Shout out though to all my brothers I met in there. Anindo, Casper, shout out to David. Big shout out to Justice, Prince, Mjinga. Sorry, I don't know your name again, my brother. Muhammad, Robert,
Do you know
Willard.
Mjinga means fool?
Yeah, I know, like fool, an idiot. That's why I apologize. I don't want to call him that, but that's what everybody called him. So Robert, Willard, the brother from Uganda. I didn't get to know your name. All the Nigerian homies I met, especially the one that I was in court with, man. He was a funny dude. I don't remember his name either, but he was a cool brother. A few of the guards, the ones I mentioned that I blessed on my way out. My jail girlfriend. Shout out to my prison wife, who was one of the guards in there too, talking about, you can marry me, take me back to America. I'm looking like, lady, I'm dirty. Like, I've been locked up for a week. My hair crazy. She like, oh, no, it's okay. Take a shower. You fix your hair. You'll be fine. And then just much thanks to Simon, Peter, my man Dan. Thank you to DJ Flexx and his homie, Jamal, Laban, the Muslim brother who let us smoke in the room. Yeah, that's the highlights, man. That's the the main points of the story. Again, much love to everybody who helped me out through the whole journey. Everybody who was sending their love, worried about me and all of that, man. Much love again to Pops, man. You really held me down while I was out there the best you could. And much love to Miss Pauline, man. Queen Pauline for doing her thing, helping me get out that situation. You all gonna see her from time to time on the channel because, you know, we kicked it a lot, especially after I got out of jail. So she helped give me a little tour of the city, showed me around and all of that. Check out her channel at Miss Pauline. I'm gonna put the information down in the description. Show her some love. And I guess I'll just see y'all on the next video, man. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment if you got any questions. I also got a comparison video that's gonna be coming out too. I'm gonna be comparing the jail in Kenya versus the jail in America, since so many people was asking what's the difference. And I'm also gonna do a little video about my trifling attorney, man. I'm gonna show y'all from start to finish how that whole process went, so you can see what you need to watch out for when you in a foreign country and you get offers from attorneys. Because I was assuming, you know, the attorney is gonna follow the rules and the laws, and he ended up being a bigger crook than anybody. But I'm counting my blessings. I'm grateful that I'm free, grateful that it was only 10 days and not anymore, grateful I didn't bring no bed bugs home, shouldn't have been in there in the first place, but knowing that it could have went left and I could have had 7 years in Kenya, that is crazy. So again, man, I'm just grateful. I count my blessings, man, and focus on the positive. So much love to everybody watching, everybody I met out in Kenya, everybody I met in the Central Police Station and in Industrial Area Prison, everybody who was cool that I met. I ain't gonna say everybody, but most of y'all. Until next time, we out of here, man, in a minute.